face of swirling chaos, long grocery lines, food shortages, and power outages, fear will arise. But one truth remains: don't panic.
We want to take this part of the video to talk about actually how to prepare for a hurricane. In preparation for this video, we wanted to give you guys some resources. There's going to be 2 links in the description. One about the city of Miami, prepare for a hurricane, and then one, the state of Florida, how to prepare for a hurricane. Because there's a lot of information. There's for hurricane, there's during a hurricane, and after hurricane, which is the right thing to do, right? The best way to handle any disaster situations is to be prepared. And so we want to cover a little bit about how we got prepared and how we have been getting prepared for hurricanes. And the biggest thing is power outages, right? So if a hurricane's category 5, obviously gonna want to evacuate if it's something very serious. But in the situations where we want to stay in Florida and don't want to have to go get a hotel room and leave the state of Florida, we need to prepare for power outages. So the best way to do that is to think about your cell phones, think about what you would do if you didn't have access to electricity.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do is that we charge up all of our portable chargers. We also, throughout the day, will consider, okay, we should charge our phones as much as we can, just in case a power outage happens.
And then on top of that, think about money. So the good thing to do is take out your money, have money on cash, on hand. Food, if your refrigerators are gonna be, not functioning properly, you need to have like canned goods and be prepared to have some water. Like what we did in the past was we got like pretty big gallons of water. On the website that you'll see, it suggests like filling your bathtub up with water, but like nobody I know here in Florida does that. It's better just to have like fresh, good water, and because you're not gonna be thinking about showering, you're gonna be thinking about drinking. So we would have big cases of water in the house just in case.
And for gas, Martino and I found that it was easier for us to go fill up our cars first thing in the morning. Towards the evening time when everyone's getting out of work or just trying to catch up on stocking items for the hurricane, the lines were super long. And I kid you not, like there are times where sometimes the police would even have to coordinate the lines, and that's how long they were. So we found that if we were to go first thing in the morning, the lines weren't as long, and we had a better chance of actually finding gas.
Yeah, and a big suggestion is during hurricane season is to really like not let your tank get that low. Like for me, I like to have at least, by the time I have half a tank, go and try and find gas, because it's probably the biggest thing that's scary is like having a shortage of gas here in the state of Florida, because then you're absolutely stuck because they will not bring any more gas in here if it gets to a serious situation. So that's a really, really big point.
Yeah, and that makes me think about, this wasn't in the case of a hurricane, but recently we experienced flooding in Florida. And I'm sure everyone has seen it on the news. If not, we can perhaps clip this here where the Fort Lauderdale airport was even like flooded, like to the brim. And we were out of gas here in Miami, and that was a crazy time. So many people were like, whoa, I'm literally out of gas. And you have to think it's because you time to let your gas meter go so low to the point where you're questioning, how do I get to work? How do I get to the grocery store? And you definitely don't want to be in that situation during hurricane season.
So we actually want to highlight this, like while we were filming the video, this is what it looks like outside. This is hurricane season here in Florida. Like this happens often, sporadically, randomly, just showers of rain. And even this can be a problem. Like Sabrina mentioned, when it floods, not necessarily a hurricane right now, but if it keeps raining like this and it starts flooding, then we have hurricane-like situation going on. So where do hurricanes happen the most in Florida? This is something that I was curious about when I'm preparing for this video. And through this source, we actually found out that, we'll give you the top 3. So the top place that hurricanes happen the most in Florida is actually the Panhandle, the Northwest. They have the most hurricanes. There's been 66 total hurricanes in the Northwest. The second place is the Southwest, 49 hurricanes. So, which would be the Naples, below Tampa area.
Yeah, recently there's actually a Hurricane Ian, and unfortunately it caused a lot of damage to Fort Myers and Cape Coral region. And I guess that stat is very accurate because that's a strong area where hurricanes happen.
And then the third place that hits in Florida that hurricanes hit the most is in the Southeast, aka the Miami area, with a total of 49. So not that much less than the Southwest, but the Southeast is the third place. And what was interesting is the places that get hit the least in Florida for hurricanes is number 1, Orlando, obviously, because in the center of the state, or is affected the most by hurricanes. And place that is affected the least by hurricanes is Jacksonville. That northeast area, they get hit the least amount of any locations within Florida for hurricanes.
And a lot of you were curious of what what the flood zones are in Miami-Dade County, and it's pretty much everywhere. There are select places like Coral Gables and Palmetto Bay where you don't get as much flooding, but I would say pretty much everywhere in the county is susceptible to flood surges. At least Martino and I, we moved around the county, and I would say perhaps the worst place that we've experienced flooding would be in the Fontainebleau area. And when I say it wasn't even a hurricane, it was just like an average rainstorm or perhaps a tropical depression, and it would be to the point where we were scared to just drive our cars to exit our apartment complex.
No, literally the water got to my wheels of my car. That's how much water there was.
So there's some areas like the Fontainebleau, Blue Lagoon, you'll definitely experience flooding on just an average rainstorm. But I would say as far as hurricanes, the Coral Gables and Palmetto Bay area, I'm surprised, well, not so much surprised that those areas aren't impacted by flooding because they are protected by a lot of trees and the mangrove preserves. So that probably helps those areas and those homes to be protected during hurricanes.
If you want to see more information about the flooding here in Miami, we included a link that's provided by the county in the description so you can see that. And what was interesting is home insurance. So in Miami has one of the highest home insurance in the United States.
Even renter's insurance.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit. The average cost of homeowners insurance in Florida is $2,300 a year, which is about $200 a month. The average cost of homeowners insurance in Miami is $4,700 a year. So that's like literally like almost double the amount of just the average homeowners insurance in Florida. Like Miami has double that. To give you more of an example, Orlando, they pay about $2,300. So back to that normal rate of Florida. So Miami, people that own homes in Miami do pay a lot on home insurance.
And definitely for the maintenance of their homes. At least we don't own a home at the moment, but we do have some friends, and they say all the time that they have to make sure that their roofs are up to date and also their windows are prepared for hurricanes.
There's a mold,
And also, of course, like the wind power, like there's a lot of debris that gets thrown into the air from the high winds. So there is a lot of maintenance attached to owning a home, especially during hurricane season.
And what's special about Miami is just as fast as the hurricanes and bad weather come, they go. We're here just facing the other side of our building, and as you can see, the skies are completely clear. That happens all the time in Miami. One moment it'll be pouring down rain, and the next second the clouds will move on, just like everything that's bad in your life will move on, it'll go somewhere else.
Well, thank you everyone for watching this video. We hope that you feel more confident about how hurricanes impact Miami. We'd say that there's nothing really to be scared of. Just stay prepared, stay positive, and don't panic. We have extra resources and recommendations on supplies down again in the description. If you want more information, definitely let's chat about it in the comments. Get going. Do you think that hurricanes are a big deal in Miami yourself? Have you experienced a hurricane wherever you are in the country or around the world? We'd love to get your perspective. So thanks again for watching, and remember, there's always more beyond the beat.